Does hip hop care that NBA Youngboy just passed Jay-Z with the most charted albums? What up, where's your boy Charles Brown back again talking facts? Okay, so if you knew what happened, what just got announced, NBA Youngboy, 23-year-old rapper, one of the top, if not probably the hottest rapper right now in the game, outside of Lil Baby, just broke Jay-Z's record, 24 albums that charted. Jay-Z is fifth in history with 24 albums that charted. He was, until NBA Youngboy, God bless his heart, passed him with his latest release, right? And my question is, I really want to put a lot of things in perspective, because at the same time, it is a win. And shout out, congratulations, because not a lot of people can do this, right? I believe Youngboy came out in 2017. That's about 5 years ago. 5 years ago, let's say 6 tops. But we're gonna go with 5. Maybe he was bubbling in 2016. And in 5 years, he's made 24 albums. Now, my question is, before it gets too out of hand, putting Youngboy in the same category as Jay-Z, who is a living legend and pretty much an icon in hip-hop, who's been actively making rap music since the 80s with Jaz-O, Hawaiian Sophie, and I believe Original Flavor might have dropped they early stuff in the late 80s, right? If I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I know at the end of the day, Jay has been doing it at a high level for many, many years. With that being said, I feel like before we get too crazy with putting Youngboy above, he passed Jay-Z, put it in perspective. And this is just my opinion. Youngboy is on house arrest, so he can't really travel. He's never had a full tour, from my understanding. If I'm wrong, correct me. He's about to do his first tour ever in history. So if I'm correct, he hasn't even done a full hip-hop tour of his music, right? Nothing wrong with that. But if we're going to start saying his name along with Jay-Z, we have to understand Jay-Z's career is, what's that, 30 years? I think it's 30 years. Youngboy is 5 years. 6 tops, like I said. And he's on house arrest, so he has a mansion, and he has a recording studio in his mansion. So he has nothing else to do but make mad music and drop it in a digital age. Jay-Z is not from the digital age. Jay-Z was dropping music when it was on cassettes and vinyl. Jay-Z was dropping music before we really were buying CDs like that. CDs at one point was a new thing. That was a new technology at one point. At one point, we would walk into the store to get vinyl records. And those were new at one point, right? Records and cassettes. We just had to buy the singles on a cassette tape and take that home. Or record it off the radio. When it came on, you had to hurry up and press the 2 buttons and record it. And then stop it and try to not get the DJ voice on your tape, right? So that's hip-hop. And if you can survive that era and still be relevant right now to this day, you're on another level. I don't think we can share that space yet. I don't think that space, and I get it, it's a great accomplishment, but let's put it in perspective. They're not number ones. They just charted. So if anyone with any specific type of name right now were to drop 24 albums in the next 5 years, or in the 5 years that Youngboy did it, they would chart some kind of way. If your online buzz is as heavy as his is. So we're playing in a different era, as in, we could say, okay, if you have enough buzz and you drop your stuff enough times fast enough, you can break records that took guys who actually took 10, 15 years to build a legacy, you can catch them in a year if you drop a whole bunch of albums real quick. Does that make you relevant in hip-hop? I'm just asking a question for my hip-hoppers to answer. I'm throwing it out there. When we look back in 20-something years, when they look back, is it going to be, oh, Jay-Z, Nas, and NBA Youngboy, and Biggie, and then, you know what I'm saying? Like, is his name going to ring in that set? It's going to be about legacy. It's going to be about what you've accomplished outside of the charts, right? I'll even do you one better. When I was talking to the guys on Clash Podcast, we do it every Wednesday, and I said, Fresh Fest, Rap Mania, all these different rap shows back in the day, they had Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff, Big Daddy Kane, Houdini, Run DMC, LL Cool J, Slick Rick, Scarface, Ghetto Boys. Some of them may have had, even this is even before NWA was even on those tours, right? Yet. And Dana Dane, Queen Latifah would be support acts, EPMD. They would tour the entire United States. They would go around 20 shows, 30 shows, go city to city for months. And for a few years, they did that, right? And they were ambassadors of the culture. They took hip-hop to places it had never been. They packed out stadiums where hip-hop never used to go. And they made it into what it is, a multi-million-dollar business, right? And even at its height, it only made a certain amount of money. Even though it made a lot of money for a lot of people, it only made a certain amount of money. So let's just put a cap on it. I'm going to throw a number. Let's just say in the entire run of Rap Mania, Fresh Fest, all these different shows, they accumulated $40 million, right? But they had legends on these shows. Now, let's say if Drake does a residency at Las Vegas, in a Las Vegas hotel and casino and arena, and he just gets a residency is when you play one place for a few months, sometimes years. You might have a residency for 2 years. If Drake has a residency in a Las Vegas hotel and makes $140 million versus all of that they did in the 80s and they made $40 million, he gets a residency right now and does $140 million. Which one do you think was more important to the culture of hip-hop? Which one is going to have more impact on hip-hop as a whole? You know what I'm saying? So if we're counting how fast the money came up, you would have to say Drake. But the hip-hop is not about how fast the money came and how much it came. It's about that tour going city to city, putting thousands of people onto hip-hop in every walk of life, white people, black people, all across the country, from Cali all the way back to New York, Florida, all the way to Texas, all up into Minnesota. That thing went everywhere. So even though we're going to say they did 40 mil, they did more for hip-hop than that one show would ever do. That one Drake show that's making 140 million. So what I'm saying is, Youngboy may have ran up a whole lot of numbers real fast and passed Jay-Z, who's legendary, who has records right now that are still bubbling, that he did back in 2001 and in 1999 and in 1996. He still has fans and people who respect those records, right? And to be honest with you, if you're not an NBA Youngboy fan, you're probably not going to go listen to any of that. As opposed to Jay-Z's one verse on God Did, almost the entire world in the culture and not in the culture went to listen to that verse. It shook the world. He was trending #1 on Twitter for the God Did DJ Khaled verse. As a matter of fact, Ari Milber, I think I said his name right, Ari Milber, who is a journalist for MSNBC, did a whole story on it. He broke down the verse line for line, went through the entire verse and did a journalistic piece on the importance of the verse. And that ended up in its own section of hip hop for that journalistic coverage of that Jay-Z verse. And not only that, if I'm not mistaken, I believe Jay-Z took that clip and released it as a Jay-Z item on his own music page. I can be bugging, but I'm almost certain that it came up in my feed that a Ari Melber report came up as a Jay-Z song. So, end of the day, this man is still relevant and will always be relevant to the culture. And I don't think you can all of a sudden become relevant or leapfrog, you know what I'm saying? Because you got in an era where digital sales are much easier to attain, and you can make music back to back to back to back to back and just constantly put out records. That really, let's be honest, that only your fan base is consuming. He has a big fan base, but they're the only ones consuming this. I don't know how important that is. It's important to hip hop, yes, to a degree. But as a whole of the entire culture, I don't know how important that achievement is going to be. So I'm not saying salute the Youngboy. I just want to keep it in perspective, because a lot of people are on this Youngboy better and all this stuff, which is whatever, right? They young and say whatever. But I'm just putting it in perspective from a elder statesman mentality, just so people don't get it confused. Like all of a sudden, Youngboy just passed Jay-Z in album charts, and now somehow he's on his level. But you get in the comments, let me know. Does it matter? Does it count? Are we at all impressed? Like, what does this mean for hip hop culture, and do we have to accept it? Let me know what you think. Chuckwick, aka Challz Brown, CLBMG. Get in the comments. Let me know what you think. Share the video. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe. I'm going to catch y'all on that flip side. Peace.
CLB.